Good afternoon. Tamzin Cochrane here at the Pinion Trail Cooking School, and what we're about to make is mini Victoria sponge cakes. So they're a lot of fun to do and to give people. They're just like that gorgeous size. People really do enjoy them. So they're also excellent gifts, like giving a teacher a gift at the end of term and things, a personalised little cake. And the way you decorate it as well on the top, you could always ice their name or something like that. So let's make some mini cakes. If you've just watched the previous recording, then we're using the same mixture. So I have got 8 ounces of butter in my mixer here, which I've already softened. And I've got 8 ounces of sugar that I'm going to put in there now to go with it. So there we go. I've had 4 eggs here, which I've beaten. Remember that movement around like that. And just make sure you've got it all nicely beaten up. And then I have my flour ready so that I can stop the mixture curdling, should it choose to do so. But also I need to mix it in. So before we start, I'm just going to show you the tin we're going to use. Now this tin, all the bases remove. So it is very easy when you put the cakes in there to be able to actually get them out, and a loose bottom tin is actually a very useful thing. Unless you're making something that's really runny, and then you would either need to line it or use a solid tin. So I have, this is a specific pan for making mini cakes, so you'll notice that they go straight up and down. If I show it to you from the side there, you can see this is straight. It's not coming in like you would see a cupcake pan, fairy cake pans, muffin tins. Those all have a little way of coming in. Your nearest would be a muffin tin. So if you got a standard muffin sized tin, then that would work as well, because I know these are not available everywhere, but muffin tins pretty much are these days. So let's get going. I need to start by greasing my tin. So I still have my bit of butter here, and I'm just going to put it onto my kitchen towel and then go into each of, and I don't mind if too much butter goes in one, it just means I go back to that one to add, whoops, some in. So here we go. We want the cakes to come out okay. Right, there we go. Shove that to one side. That's now ready. The butter is softened and the sugar's in. So let's just get that going and cream it. Once again, as I showed you earlier, just off the table a bit there, it's going to stick around the edges. So you need to be coming in and removing it. Make sure you've turned it all over and just scrape it down. So there we go. I can now put that back on here. Lock it in place. Off we go. I'm going to do one more scrape down. And then that should be it. Because if you look at it now, we have got it nice and fluffy and a creamer colour there, but I've still got a slightly different colour around the edge, and I don't want that. I need to know it's all mixed in nicely, beaten up. about another 30 seconds. And then we'll add in our beaten egg. So I'm turning it down low, and I'm just going to add in the egg a little at a time, watching what's happening inside, because I don't need the mixture to curdle. But if it does curdle, we just add a bit of flour, that gives it back the stability, and keep going. Just a tablespoon of flour at a time. And you can add some flour in anyway, not too much. It's going quite fast, and it will have a cooking effect with the flour that comes up. Right. I'm just going to make sure everything's good in there. Here's the last of the egg going in. I think I did that in 3, maybe in 4 tranches. I'm going to add a little bit more of the flour. Once again, when I put the flour in, I'll do it this side so you can see, I'm not just tipping it in, I'm actually bringing it down at the side, not straight onto the mixer anyway, attachment, because that's just going to have the flour go everywhere. We've measured the flour, it's 12 ounces or 375 grams, so we don't actually want to lose that flour up in the air. Also means a lot more cleaning. Okay. So I'm just going to stop it. I'm going to scrape down the sides. I'll just take that off as well, the end bit there, in this particular case. Right, so I'm just going to scrape down the sides where there's still some of the creamed mixture. And I'm going to put all the rest of the flour in. And I'll put it back on the mixer, but I'm just going to mix it in, make sure I've got everything from right down at the bottom, where there is a pimple coming up, and then around the valley area of the center. The opposite to what you normally have. You normally have a divot, don't you? Or a dimple. So there we go. I've sort of mixed it in, cleared the edges. So I'm just going to now lock it in place and go. I'm not sure if I told you that there were 4 eggs. Hopefully I did. But the recipe will be online. And this we call more, it's a Victoria sandwich, but it's like a butter sponge. That's what I grew up knowing it as. An all-in-one, which you just literally put everything in. It's a slightly different recipe. However many eggs you use, double that, and then make the flour, sugar, and butter all the same. So 2 eggs and it's 4, 4, and 4. Put it all in at the same time, mix it all up. And you'll get that. Right, I'm just going to speed this up and give it a final nice whisk. And then I'm just going to show you where we're at with it. Here we go, trying to do that. Now that isn't good enough for me. I want it to have a little bit more moisture. So I am going to add some milk. Not a lot, about 1 fluid ounce, if that. I'm going to put in as well now my teaspoon of vanilla essence. There we go. put it down, lock it in place, and I'll get my oven on while we're here now. Since we're pretty close. Now, whiz that up. And that's all nicely mixed in now. So we can put them into a pan. Like I said earlier, all you have to do is bang this off. You don't need to really get rid of it. And I'm sure you can find someone in your house who will lick that clean for you. So I've now got all this mixture. One last check that it's all mixed in and there isn't anything anywhere that shouldn't be. We know we've greased our pan, which is good. And so I'm just going to take 2 spoons. Here we go. And let's get them in here. So this is also a nice way that you can make a birthday cake. Individual cakes spelling out happy birthday or the person's name, or decorate each one individually. I know one year using this recipe I made a halo cake and it was big and round in the middle, and then I put individual cupcakes around the edge, and each one had a mini Lego halo figure built on it, which the birthday boy kindly sat and made for me. So it can look very impressive adding cakes. And they're just that bit bigger than your cupcakes. Right, here we go. I'm going to put these in the oven. I'm just making sure everything is the same size. I'm not going to worry too much about this. And then let's get that in the oven. And I'm going to put it in at 350. Once again, it depends on your oven. I've learned that this oven at 375 is obviously running hot, so I'm putting it in at 350. But you can test your oven and check by making a batch of cupcakes. I told you that technique in the earlier video today on making a Victoria sponge. But let's get these in the oven. So those now can cook away. I'm going to move this, and magically, here are some cakes. So with the last batch, what I did with some of them was put parchment paper in those little cake tin areas, and some I did and some I didn't. So this is how the cake has come out when I just cooked it straight in there without parchment. And when I did put parchment in, then this one's still got parchment on. So this is how they've come out. And obviously you can see around the edge where the parchment was. Now, the fact that it's come over the top like that, I don't mind at all, because I can just cut that off, and that is what we will do. So we are going to just start the small one. So what we'll start with, use a bread knife, a serrated knife. If you have a plastic one, then a lettuce knife, one of those plastic serrated ones, will do well. And then literally just cut it in half. And that wasn't a very good half, was it? Let's actually try and do this a little bit straighter. I want it to turn out nicely. Okay, so on one half, I'm going to put buttercream, which I've got ready-made here. And on the other half, I'm going to put jam, which here, and then I'll put them together. So I'm going to end up with a load of little cakes that look lovely. There we go. Leave that there. We have the jam, which I put back. So go. And then try and put it back on, same way you took it off. And here is my icing sugar. And I always leave this small sieve in my icing sugar. And you end up with a little cake that looks like your big cake, but it's just the perfect size. So they look really nice, and when you have a whole load of those at a birthday party or an afternoon tea, or you're taking them for you know, a sale or teachers at school, they do look really nice. So sometimes doing things in the mini version really does work. Thank you very much for listening today, and I look forward to seeing you all next week. Bye for now.